You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today, we are previewing the week ahead in the NBA, Week 18, the first full week back after the All-Star break. Michael Bolton.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it indeed. Playoffs may have started. Playoffs may be starting. Playoffs may be just around the corner for those of you in head-to-head leagues, so it's vitally important that you make the most of your schedule. And that's what we're going to be looking at for this week coming up. Let's take a look at how things break down for Week 18. We've got a pretty strong schedule in terms of streaming. Now, you know, in general, I like to look at days with 8 or fewer games on as days that you can really attack for streaming. And we've got 5 of those games this week. So in general, when you've got 5 games, that means you need to be extra careful about maximizing back-to-backs and pseudo back-to-backs because the default amount of additions for a week is usually 4. So we've got 8 games on Monday, 7 on Tuesday, 9 on Wednesday, 4 Thursday, 10 Friday, 8 Saturday, and 8 Sunday. So ideally, we're looking at streaming the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. You might be able to get away with it on a Wednesday with 9 games, a little bit tougher on Friday with 10 games, but that all depends on how your overall team's roster looks. We have got 2 teams playing 2 games this week, the Chicago Bulls and the San Antonio Spurs, while the vast majority of teams this week are playing 4 games, meaning the difference between those teams playing 4 and 2, it's pretty stark, making guys on the Bulls and the Spurs harder to roster in weekly leagues, and even those 3-game teams can be pretty tough. The Pacers, the Thunder, the Jazz, the Rockets, the Raptors, the Celtics, the Nuggets, the Blazers, the Pelicans, and the Pistons all have 3 games for this week. Spurs and Bulls have 2, and every other team plays 4 games for this upcoming week. Let's look at it now from a weekly changes perspective in terms of... Actually, no, we'll do that in a second. Let's go to something different. Let's look at how we attack this streaming strategy for this week. 2 teams really stand out as teams to attack, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. All 4 of their games come on low volume days. Now, part of the problem there is they don't have many great streaming options, but guys like JaVale McGee, Kyle Kuzma, Danny Green, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Dwight Howard, maybe Markieff Morris, Avery Bradley, they could all be options to stream in on those low volume days. The Lakers play on Tuesday, Thursday, and they have that coveted Saturday, Sunday back-to-back, which is awesome for the end of the week. Now, they only have 2 really good fantasy players, and that's Davis and LeBron, and everybody else is outside the scope of 12-team leagues usually. But when you've got 4 games, when you've got a schedule that includes games against the Pelicans, Warriors, Grizzlies, and then Pelicans again, that's fantastic for your fantasy value, and they all come on low volume days, then those other players start to gain relevance for this week. The Greens and Caldwell-Popes, McGee's, Rondos, Kuzmas, Howards, Bradleys, those sort of guys, they gain value for this week for the Lakers. For the Warriors, similar story with 4 games. They play Tuesday, Thursday, and they have that Saturday, Sunday back-to-back. The only 2 teams who have that Saturday, Sunday back-to-back are the Warriors and the Lakers. They have the Kings, the Lakers, the Suns, and the Wizards this week. So you've got guys who could be on the wire. Damian Lee's a must-roster player in general, but especially for this week, Marquise Chris. And then you're streaming in guys like Jordan Poole, like Eric Paschall. You might even be in a situation where you take a flyer at certain days on Kevon Looney. Maybe your league's a little bit deeper. Juan Toscano-Anderson might be someone you could look to stream in that scenario as well. The lubricant Kai Bowman could be an option who played 20-plus minutes last game for the Warriors. But there are 4 opportunities to stream those players in for this week, and that's going to be useful for you. Now, in weekly leagues, quality games don't matter because, again, you choose your lineup at the start of the week and you lock them in. So while it looks great for the Lakers to have 4 games and 4 quality games, that doesn't mean that we're locking in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope into a weekly lineup. You can find better options than him across even players and teams that play 3 games. Most likely, it is way more important for those daily changes formats to get those guys in on those days. Now, if we're looking at Monday, Tuesday as a good way to start off the stream, the back-to-back there is the Milwaukee Bucks. They're the only team that has that back-to-back. So we're looking at the big Ragu, Dante DiVincenzo. We're looking at George Hill. Maybe it's Wes Matthews we look at there. Maybe Marvin Williams, although doubtful. Ersan Ilyasova, I think there's a chance he sits one of those games as well. Paddy Connaughton could be an option for us there as back-to-back streamers on the Monday, Tuesday as the only team that has that. With Wednesday having 9 games, we're not really looking at the Tuesday-Wednesday back-to-back combination because we're unlikely to be able to use that waiver wire fodder on the Wednesday. But if you are in the situation to do that, the Charlotte Hornets have that back-to-back, as do the Boston Celtics. So we're looking at someone maybe like Enes Kanter from Boston, who could be an option. Brad Wanamaker if Kemba Walker is still out. Or when we look at Charlotte, we're looking at Cody Martin. We're looking at Paul Washington Jr. as a guy there. We're looking at Cody Zeller, who's got that back-to-back combo. If we want to look at the pseudo back-to-backs, I've already talked about the Lakers. They have that combination. The Warriors have that combination. But the Sacramento Kings, someone like Kent Bazemore could be in play. Maybe it's Alex Len, depending on how his role looks over these next couple of games for the Kings. Bielitsa should already be rostered. Heald should already be rostered. But if Bogdanovich was dropped, it's a great opportunity to stream him in for the Tuesday-Thursday combination for the Sacramento Kings. The others with that Tuesday-Thursday combination, we've got the Pacers and we've got the Thunder. The Thunder's a little bit harder. Nerlens Noel would be a good option. Maybe you look at Luguentz Dort in that situation, although he's not a great option.
Bort? Oh, come on, Bort?
Mommy, buy me a license plate!
No, come along, Bort.
Are you talking to me?
No, my son is also named Bort.
For the Pacers, it really does depend a little bit on Victor Oladipo, but Jeremy Lamb would look like a strong target there. You could look to stream him in that situation. Justin Holiday could be an option across the Tuesday-Thursday combination games there as well. And then you've got the Portland Trailblazers who also have that Tuesday-Thursday. So you're looking at Trevor Ariza, who probably should be rostered anyway. It's Gary Trent, Anthony Simons with Damian Lillard out. Both of those guys have significant value in that Tuesday-Thursday combination. 10 games on Friday, so we're not going to look at that back-to-back. So we're looking at Thursday, Saturday. We already talked about the Lakers and the Warriors having that combination of games. The New York Knickerbockers also have the Thursday, Saturday combination in terms of a pseudo back-to-back. So Rowan Barrett might be available. RIP your percentages. Then it's just streaming in guys like Frank Ntilikina or Reggie Bullock or Punch Bob Ship like Bobby Portis. Hard to get a read on what they're going to do. Ntilikina, with Peyton still dealing with this ankle problem, you could look at Frankie as an option there. You could even take a flyer on Dennis Smith, depending on how those minutes look earlier in the week. But that Thursday-Saturday combination there for the Knicks is important. The Pacers also have that group, so adding a Pacers guy like Jeremy Lamb or Justin Holiday on Tuesday, you can go the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday triple combo without really missing anything from that waiver spot. So that is a really smart one. The Warriors, and the Lakers all have that 3-game combination across that time frame, which is an important one when you're trying to conserve your waiver moves. The Blazers also have that combination as well, that 3-gamer, the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday combo. And then I said on the back-to-back over the weekend, we already talked about that. The Lakers and the Warriors are the only teams with that back-to-back on the weekend. If we have a look at players that you probably want to sit, who might be guys you'd usually start, I don't think in any 12-team league that guys like LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan, or DeJounte Murray, in fact, any Spurs, are absolute locks to start. In 10-teamers, I wouldn't start any of them. In 12s, I might consider Aldridge with theirs 2 games, but I probably wouldn't, considering they're against Dallas and Orlando. And then for the Bulls, the only guy you even consider is Zach LaVine. And in a 10-teamer, I'm not sure he's even going to be a startable player with only 2 games. And again, it's not that he's only playing 2 games. It's the majority of the league is playing 4 games. In a 12-teamer, he probably does sneak into at least your 10th active spot on a roster. But those other guys, Thomas Satoransky, maybe the return of Wendell Carter there, Thad Young, hard to roster those guys or put them into your active lineups in a weekly setup. Now, guys that we can have a look at who might have some increased value this week, of course, we're looking at Naz Reid of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Joe Harris and Taurean Prince of the Brooklyn Nets with 4 games for Brooklyn with no Kyrie Irving. This is a good opportunity to get them into weekly lineups and to stream them for daily changes leagues as well. You've got the pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. He was ridiculous last time out. Last time I'm talking Thursday, when he hit 7 threes, first 7 threes, and then, of course, did nothing else after that. But with the 4 games for the Kings, with a nice schedule as well, he's worth a look. I said Bogdanovich there already. He's someone we can look at as a stream option. You've got Ish Smith for Washington. They've got 4 games, and he's been getting the bulk of those starting point guard minutes. Malik Monk has looked pretty good for Charlotte. He should be rostered anyway, but especially this week. Paul Washington Jr. also in that mix. You've got Cam Reddish, who's looking pretty good also. I'd look at him as an ad for this week. Seth Curry, Kevin Porter, and the wave pool D'Anthony Melton if you need steals. Of course, he's unreliable in other areas, but those steals generally come in pretty good. And over the course of the week, you should get enough out of Melton there to be useful. Of course, Brandon Clark with Jaren Jackson dealing with some knee issues. Brandon Clark is a must roster guy, and even Tyus Jones might be considered, but that's probably more of a 14-team league scenario. All right, that'll do it for my Week 18 weekly preview. That's the word I'm looking for. Don't forget, subscribe and you'll never miss an episode all week. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube. Give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, leave a 5-star review as well. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.